Hello everyone. Today let us learn a new lesson, Getting Up on Cold Mornings. This is a prose written by Leigh Hunt. How many of you like to wake up early morning or are you a late riser? We all can relate this topic to ourselves. According to the writer, some people say that getting up on cold mornings is very difficult and few people say that it is an easy thing. Here, the author, Leigh Hunt, brings out the pleasure of late rising through this lesson. Let us see the introduction of this lesson. The essay deals about the familiar hellish torture that one experiences on getting up on cold mornings. In the first part of the essay, the author Leigh Hunt talks about the reason for the punishment of this torture. Then he shows possible ways to avoid early rising, and also he discusses active people's motivation to get up early. In the second part, he puts forth clever and deceptive arguments in favor of laziness. According to Leigh Hunt, getting up on cold morning is a very difficult thing, but for few it seems to be an easy thing. Let us now see the objective of this lesson. It familiarizes the students with the author and his work. It gives an insightful view of the author regarding life. Let us now see the author's introduction. James Henry Lake, better known simply as Leigh Hunt. He was a poet, critic and essayist born in 1784. He studied at Christ Hospital and began career of authorship, writing poetry and critical essay. His poems has been divided into two volumes. The first volume of poems called Feast of the Poets, published in 1814, and the second volume contains the story of Rimini and Foliage. He was also a very good friend of Keats and Percy Bysshe Shelley. He was an editor of The Examiner, The Reflector, The Indicator and The Companion. Let us see his most popular poems. His most popular poems are Jenny Kissed Me, Above an Adam, A Night Train in Summer, An Angel in the House, Mary and the Poets, The River Nile, Death, and Robin Hood a Child. Leigh Hunt's Getting Up on Cold Mornings appeared in The Indicator in 1820. Let us move on to the text now. Let us now learn and understand the text in detail. Leigh Hunt begins the essay by quoting a famous Italian author, Codara, a Jesuit, who has written a poem upon insects. He begins the poem by insisting that those small creatures are created for our annoyance. But on the other hand, you see, Adam and Eve walked out of their delicious bower and not stepped upon 3 inches thick ice. So everyone knows that it is pleasant to lie in bed on cold mornings. No one wants to get up at such an earlier time, but one gets out only on compulsion. A schoolboy has to go to school and a man to workplace. So out of compulsion, everyone wake up early. Here, Leigh Hunt deals with this familiar experience in a more serious way. So let us now move on to this text further. According to the writer, everyone agrees that it is indeed very difficult to get out of the bed on cold mornings. The sudden transition from warmth to cold is a compulsion. It's a hellish torture, he says. One gets up only out of compulsion. He compares this torture to harpy fairies dragging the lost souls from fire and thrusting them into ice. He talks about the reason for this torture. Getting up on cold mornings and shavings are punishments given to mankind because Adam and Eve sinned against God. He complains that before sinning they neither had snowy winters nor Adam was compelled to shave. Lake Hunt then gives various possible ways for avoiding early rising. He sets himself as an example to show it. First of all, he calls a servant and inquires about cold weather outside. Next, he commands his servant to keep his articles and dresses ready. In that time, he would lie on bed. Then he orders hot water for shaving, and he finds an excuse on saying that the water is too hot, so he needs some time to cool down. At last, he may not have any excuses, so he gets up and ready to shave. Here, Lake Hounds speaks about another set of people, it's businessmen. Businessmen get up early since they love money more than comfort. Some people who are slaves to daily routines get up early to maintain pride. And in this, we see that Lake Hunt puts forth some arguments in favor of late rising. He argues that shaving is a villainous custom since the cold razor is contrast to warmth. Even Queen Eleanor divorced her husband King Louis of France because he had shaved his beard. So Lake Hunt states that beard adds impressive looks to man. Next argument he puts forth is that people say early rising is good for health, but Hunt says that there are no proof for this so far. But however, sudden change in temperature due to getting up from bed may bring shock to the body and thereby affecting good health. Lake Hunt argues that if in case study early rising increases longevity of life is true, this does not mean long things are beautiful. He further supports his argument with an example. The longest street in London, Holborn, does not mean that it is beautiful because it is long. Likewise, a short life with joys of late rising may be better than a long life with sufferings of early rising. At the end, we understand that Lake Hunt has not neither moved the arguments to absurdity nor he advised to rise late. He just brings out the pleasure in late rising. In a nutshell, we understand the lesson. Getting up on cold mornings deals with familiar experience of one faces in life, especially on cold season. He says that it's a punishment given to mankind because of Adam and Eve sinned against God. He also gives some tips for the ways to avoid early rise. He supports his arguments with examples bringing in Thompson's and Queen Eleanor and businessmen. According to the author, everyone enjoys the pleasure of late rising and one wakes up early just out of compulsion. Thank you for listening. Thank you.